but I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Capstone project itself, what is expected of you, and how you could go about doing this properly as a group, and but mostly listen to what you have to say in terms of feedback, suggestions, or comments, or issues that you may have, and what sort of support or assistance that you would like from the course leaders. Pilar Barrio could not be here with us today. Apologies from her, and I'm going to take you through the rest of the session. So let's get going. I think we have sufficient number of participants online right now. Okay, make sure your mic is muted, and I hope you can hear me clearly. Please let us have your name and the city in the chat box, and make sure at the bottom of the chat box where it says to, that you have selected all panelists and attendees. Okay, Venkat from Mumbai, welcome aboard, Venkat, and also Roy from Beirut. And Shubhra is here. Hello, Shubhra from Mumbai. Okay, let's move on then. Congratulations, first of all, to all of you for having successfully, oh, Melinda from Switzerland. Hello, Melinda. Congratulations to all of you for having successfully completed the 9 months of, is it 9 months or 6 months of the diploma course in all 3 sections. So that has enabled all of us, especially yourselves, to start doing this major project as a group, as I said, and also applying all of the learnings that you have successfully carried out over the last 6 months. And this Capstone project comes in 4 stages, and you have already sent us your part 1, which consists of a brief business challenge or business idea that you may have and how you like to proceed with that. It's a very brief conceptual view of what your intentions are. And I have given some feedback to some of you. Many of you I found them to be a very good idea. So there was not much of a feedback required other than saying, just make sure that you're covering all of the course learnings, especially in the part 3 and part 4 of the document of the project. But for many others, I suggested some small variations or improvements and so forth, and I hope you're working on it. Anytime, keep sending that back to me if you would like to have another head to review what you've been thinking so far, and if there are ways in which we can improve the situation. Okay, let me then take you through what we know so far in digital transformation, particularly in this course. We have done, as I said, 3 sections. The first section, of course, was the DSB, Digital Strategy for Business. Second section was DTPS, Digital Transformation Platform Strategies. And the third section is DMS, Digital Marketing Strategies. Just checking once again to make sure that you guys can hear me well. Shubhra has a problem, no audio. Shubhra, you might want to check your internet. Sometimes it happens, or you might want to switch to a different Wi-Fi setting maybe, or a different laptop if you have one. But can I hear from others? Are you able to hear me well? You can just type in S if you can hear me well. Nadia, thank you. Audio is good. Thank you, Venkat. Roy, thank you. Anjaneyulu, thank you. Alex, thank you. Melinda, thank you. All right, thanks. I think Shubhra, you might want to check your internet connection. Sometimes it does cause this problem. You might want to reset your Wi-Fi modem or just switch to a different network if possible. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like it's working for everybody. So let me just give you a broad picture, the big picture of what we have covered so far. When we talk about digital transformation, we need to think about it in three different larger sections, if you like. The strategy part, and the strategy part was very well covered by Professor David Rogers, and he gave us the 5 domains: the customer domain or the customer networks, competitors and cooperators, and the symmetric and asymmetric competition and so forth, and then the 3 critical elements of a company, and that is the data element, the value element, and the innovation element. And how do you innovate? How do you experiment? How do you create a minimum viable product? All of those kinds of things. And how do you use the data, the big data, analytics, and how do you use various data templates, the 4 of them that we worked on, in order to create new business benefits for our customers and for the company. And then the most important one is the value proposition. How do you create this compelling, this disruptive new value proposition? Because you got this incredible tools coming from technology platforms, the artificial intelligence, the machine language, machine learning, all the other stuff. So, how do we create new value propositions? And that is an important aspect, and that is what you're going to be using for this project. The next thing we talked about is the platform strategies. Rather than just extending our business from a brick and mortar business to an e-commerce business, or from e-commerce to a next level of e-commerce, and so forth, can we actually create some kind of an exchange marketplace, this ecosystem that takes us beyond the 4 walls of our organization, beyond our customers, into a wider world where we are adding lots of different partners and different users or consumers of our services and providers of services, and create this kind of a exchange. Sometimes it's a 2-party exchange, sometimes it's a multi-party exchange. And that came out because there is a significant network effect that comes by operating these platforms online. The Uber model, the Airbnb model that we are familiar with, and so forth, and the network effect that it creates. And then we talked about how do you design, architect such a disruption? How do you launch and monetize such a platform? And how do you make sure this platform has a lot of openness and it has the governance and the metrics that we want to measure appropriate and keep growing this platform? And in order to do that, what sort of strategy, what sort of policy, and how do we sustain this growth and this development of this new idea and this excitement for our customers and this value proposition for the customers over long periods of time, by continuous improvement, by continuous disruption of our own innovations, and what sort of policies do we need in order that we are successful in this space. So that's a platform strategies. And then we talked about marketing strategies, and we said there are 5 stages of marketing, and those are access, engage, customize, connect, and collaborate. So we are now going to get into the project stage where we're going to pull all of this together and hopefully apply all of them to a real life business idea, business that we know of, companies that we know of, or industry that we know of, or perhaps create new platforms. Okay, so let me take you through a bit more detail. So in the digital strategies for business, we talked about these 5 domains, which we just said: customers, competition, which are external, and the internal ones are data, innovation, and value. And the example of such a, what is the value proposition roadmap? Is from what Professor David Rogers tells us, it has to be a new and revised, a significant leap in terms of the value that we create for our customers. particularly the customer networks. So this is the idea behind creating a value proposition, that it is not some incremental advantage or incremental feature benefit. So when we talk about value proposition, and I'm explaining this a bit more because this is what you'll be using to develop the first part. So we're starting to think about what value can you create that is substantial, and then we are going to design an appropriate platform for this value proposition delivery. So you must consider your customers' needs and new experiences and challenges in the context of the digital world, obviously. And it must show that you are solving some of their problems digitally and significantly creating some new customer experiences in the process. And of course, you're giving them a reason to relate to you over a long period of time. This sort of a customer lifetime value, CLV, that we talk about. And also it helps you to manage the competitive ecosystems. You're in charge because you are able to create this customer network and customer value propositions and customer lifetime value. So let's think about Deliveroo. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this food delivery business. It started off in UK some 4 or 5 years ago. And from what I hear recently, they received more than $500 million investment from Amazon, and they have more than $1 billion of capital in which they could invest in growth in different countries around the world. They are already in several countries and doing very successfully. Obviously, Uber Eats and lots of other local players are their competitors. So are they just being a better delivery people than another competitor, or do you think they have some kind of a new value proposition that is exceptionally strong? Can you take this moment and in the chat box suggest what you think could be a good value proposition for Deliveroo? Not the current value proposition, but in terms of where they could be moving into. What would be your suggestion? 2 or 3 words that clearly expresses their significant new value propositions. If you were the digital transformation director or a consultant advising Deliveroo, and you have enormous amount of money in your budget, that is not the issue. What type of value proposition do you think you should be advising them about? Can you suggest 1 or 2 words or a sentence for Deliveroo in terms of value proposition? We are the kitchen, that's a good one. Grocery shopping, okay. More accessibility, okay. Angie, I really like your concept of saying we are your kitchen. Why bother grocery shopping and keeping them in the fridge and worrying about what to cook tonight? Cook and then clean up and blah blah blah. Why not just say, look, we are here. We are your kitchen. That's a great way to put it. More accessibility, anytime, anywhere, better than your wife. All of these things do appeal, but mind you, you got Uber Eats, which does the same thing, and you got a number of other local delivery companies which can do this equally well, if not better. So, what is the compelling value here? Why, in a kind of a competitive marketplace with more than $1 billion of funding in their pockets, what do you think they should be doing forward? Is it just delivery, or do you think they should get into other things to create this bigger super value proposition? If you take Angie's view that we are your kitchen, you could be doing a lot more things with that kind of money. Custom made meals, yeah. Okay. They are definitely getting into creating their own kitchens, no doubt about that. So they're trying to be, your kitchen. They try to be, you just pick up the phone or the mobile app, and you say, well, this is what I like to get, and maybe there's some kind of an artificial intelligence engine that goes around searching for the best meal that suits your palate or taste or your preference for the day, and then figures out which restaurant it should come from. So it probably saves you the hassle of looking for, what type of food I should be eating, what sort of restaurant I should be thinking about in order to place this meal order. Maybe they could do that for you. Maybe they could even create this special meal, this rather than fast food. They could actually create restaurant quality. They could even say, this is a quality restaurant gourmet meal, available to your taste for the day or a preference for the day at a reasonable price. So you could think of these guys producing, not just connecting fast food chains to you, but also being the quality restaurateur or being the broker in that space using AI engines and so forth. So you could see that you can actually take a simple value proposition into substantial new value proposition using this kind of thinking. Okay. The next one is business model, digital platform models, and we said mastering disruptions, designing your platform and architecture, creating an open innovation, and then launching and growing the platform and sustaining this competitive advantage through appropriate strategies and policies. Those are the 5 things that constitute the platform strategies. And when we talk about platform strategies, here is an example. This is something I just recently read about. IKEA, everybody knows about IKEA, fundamentally a furniture store, very unique store model. You walk into a store, you wander around for miles, and you pick up all the nice things that you want, or you have them delivered to your place, and you assemble it yourself. It is cheap. It is designed well. It is very, very productive, high utility. And it does the job. It looks neat and clean and colorful. It ticks all the boxes. However, it seems like they want to expand their model. So where could they go from this type of store model to a different model? If that's the case, is platform approach one of the reasonable models they could be looking at? It seems like they are. So they are exploring a couple of things. One is they're looking to launch a sales platform that would include rival products. That sounds interesting. Already there are quite a lot of companies, I'm not sure if you're aware, that take the IKEA furniture and they build some additional add-ons to that furniture to make it even more interesting, useful, productive, valuable, and so forth for the user, because IKEA manufactures one type of chair, let us say, and you could actually take that and have another business on top of that where you could color it differently or put an additional add-on to that product and make that look different and so forth. It could even be that they are looking at some rival products, maybe complementary rivals, so that rather than customers having to go to different shops to buy different things, IKEA platform could provide this comprehensive set of products that are needed by the customer. The other interesting development they are looking at is there are already large retail platforms in the world, Amazon being one of them, and of course there is Alibaba in China. So why not leverage those existing platforms? So I believe they are talking to Amazon and Alibaba to try and sell IKEA products on those platforms as well. And who knows? I mean, these could be early steps baby steps in terms of their, testing the waters, so to speak, to get an idea of how IKEA would be accepted. IKEA model would work within these Amazon and Alibaba platforms. And I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in future they come around and say they will create a platform of their own, in which not only IKEA products can be sold, but IKEA services or other partners that provide IKEA products and services could work together on this platform to provide that extra value to their customers. Now, here's the question for you. Why do they do this? I mean, why can't they just keep growing as they are because it's a successful formula? Give me an idea as to why they need to get onto this platform business. What is in it for IKEA to expand themselves into an IKEA platform business, whether it is through Amazon, Alibaba, or whether it's through their own platforms? I mean, there is opportunity for more selling, so more revenue, but what is the compelling competitive value proposition here? What is in it for IKEA customers? Deeper customer engagement, co-opetition. Yeah, in some instances they cooperate, in some instances they compete. So there is a platform in which they can actually, I guess, evaluate how they stand in terms of this cooperation, co-opetition space. Network effects, thinking ahead like a disruptor, one can't be a lone island. Yes? Control the customer in their purchasing patterns. So good one, Raimondo. It is, if we have some level of engagement and trust and control over your customers, perhaps you could extend the IKEA concept, that value proposition that the customer loves, into other areas of their life. So there might be other lifestyle things you could be contributing to. Besides the things that they buy, you could also be doing that by expanding your product line and your services line and so forth. Customers are buying their furniture online to a large extent than before. So, you need to be in that space. You cannot be a brick and mortar retail store because the world is moving to online path to purchase that we learned about. So IKEA has to create that path to purchase. So there are good reasons for a traditional company, if I may call IKEA a traditional model brick and mortar retail store in furniture, into a more online business, or at least incorporates a lot of the online business ideas into its traditional business. It needs to get into that space. So there are a number of different ways they can get into it. One is selling other people's products and services to enhance the value proposition, or moving on to sell their own products and services on Amazon and Alibaba type platforms. And thirdly, they could get into partnerships. They could look at the customer profiles through data analytics and say, well, who are the other significant partners of this customer in the online space? I mean, let us say, obviously, another retail giant that most customers deal with is Amazon. So it makes sense for them to say, it is not just about selling IKEA products online to Amazon, but between Amazon and IKEA, we could get into some kind of a partnership. And it's a very dangerous thing to do, perhaps, because Amazon is a 800-pound gorilla. It can crush you to death. So you just need to treat very carefully and learn some tricks of the trade, perhaps, and eventually work with the more appropriate partners that you can control and create your own IKEA platform. So all of these are definite possibilities. And those are the kinds of insights not only from customer preferences, as Melinda pointed out, but also insights in the way that our company needs to respond to these customer preferences. And platform business allows us to move ahead, expand our scope of business beyond just being a retail company, a brick and mortar, to a much broader online company. That's interesting. Okay, so I hope this example was useful again in the way we discuss things. So the platform strategy is a very important aspect of our learning on digital transformation. So it starts with the value proposition, and then we develop a set of tools that facilitate the various parties that we want to join together to come online on this platform. This multi-party or two-party exchange that takes place, creating that network effect, and then we're making sure in the process that value is exchanged in a seamless way, from ordering to payment to delivery to integration and so forth. And we are using data and analytics to constantly monitor performance of how things are working and how we can curate that exchange and the value exchange. And then we are making sure the customers and producers are connecting and engaging each other in this purchasing platform model, and that it is open to tools and APIs that third parties can use to grow. That's one way of connecting to partners online and getting them to create additional value propositions on the platform. And finally, how we can increase and improve the network effect through stickiness and demonstrating additional value to our stakeholders and so forth. Okay, let's now talk about digital marketing strategy, and then we will open it up for some questions, and we'll probably close up after that. So marketing strategy is pretty straightforward. There are 5 major strategies in order to create this customer network and engage this customer online: access, engage, customize, connect, and collaborate. AECCC. Remember that? We learned that in the last module. Okay, here's a question for you guys. Everybody knows Coca-Cola. Everybody's consumed Coca-Cola, over the years, and it has been around a long time. It has been around a very, very long time. So it's a legacy product, if you want to think about it that way. It's like saying, I remember, in the 1960s, we had Coca-Cola. And, here we are 40 years later, it still rules. Obviously, in the meantime, the customer segments have changed. I don't drink Coca-Cola anymore. And, my children stopped drinking Coca-Cola or Coke. And, obviously, the millennials are, an important segment for them to target. So they need to constantly rediscover themselves and reposition themselves in the marketplace and remarket themselves differently. So I don't know if you've seen or heard about the new Coke that is coming along. It may be an old Coke in the new can, but they are working very closely with Netflix. And you think about that. What does Netflix do, and why would they want to advertise Coca-Cola? But they're not. They are taking a very limited particular movies that Netflix produces, and they are weaving the Coca-Cola into that story. So that's a way of providing a subtle marketing messages to the right audience. You might want to research this a little bit more because this is still an evolving story in terms of how Coca-Cola is working with Netflix to create this new Coke content, if you like, that appeals to that particular segment or of the market that they want to target, in this case, the millennials. So give me an idea. Tell me, why do they need to do this? And why does it need to be so sneaky, perhaps? In-house advertising. Or in-house or in-stream advertising. So as Netflix is streaming a content, it is not a discrete advertisement, but it kind of gets built into that experience somehow. So I've seen an example of this, and I could not show it to you, but this is the new way of sending out this subtle messages to the audience. Why do they need to do this? And what other ways do you think they can be doing this kind of digital marketing? Yeah, they're looking for some kind of a recall value. I'm not sure who this is, Gateway. So I can't call you Gateway. So you need to give me your name. Shubhra, okay. Shubhra, yeah, recall value, yeah, because it is, people don't like to, when they are watching a very good movie, don't want to be abruptly disrupted and shown an advertisement. It's a put off. So they are going in a very subtle way to make sure, just as you think you have watched about an hour of this video and you are ready for a small break, and that may be a time that think, okay, I can slip something in here. So it's all very subtle. Yeah, Melinda, that's what we're talking about. How does Coca-Cola incorporate itself, these messages, into the Netflix production process? And it's part of its streaming of particular movies. What do you think? Why do you think they are doing it? And secondly, is there other ways that they could be, reaching out to their audience? We are talking about a digital marketing strategy. So, what is the digital marketing strategy that could work for them? Brand building in the niche audience. Yeah. So Setu, that's a good one too. The brand visibility. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how you do it. Obviously, online, especially with content, you don't want just blatant advertising message. The viewers, the audience, consumers don't like it. So the best way to place the product is to make it seamless in the content, so that it is out there, and maybe there is, as was rightly pointed out, there may be some recall messages. So all I'm pointing out is, in the digital marketing space, you could do some clever things. So try and bring those clever ideas into your assignment, into your project as well. Okay, so enough of that. So just to close up, just to summarize what we've done so far. So we talked about digital strategy, we talked about competitor analysis, sometimes symmetric competitors, sometimes asymmetric competitors, partners. There's a whole heap of things you could do in that ecosystem. But whatever it is, we must have a very disruptive mindset to create something new, new values and new approaches. And we must have access to the data, customer data, and analyze it to make sure that we are targeting, accessing the right customers at the right time, at the right place, and so forth. And in the process, creating a huge network of connections, which is a very important consideration. So to close, what we are saying in terms of this course is that it is great to have a strategy which falls under digital strategy for the business, and then a platform strategy and a marketing strategy. All of that constitute the strategy part. But there is also a whole lot of technologies that are capable of delivering very interesting values and solutions to us and to our customers online. This is not a course about technology, but we know that AI and ML and robotics and big data analytics and cloud and so forth can play a significant part. And we all need to understand what they are and how they can deliver value to us. Particularly in this assignment, you could bring some of those interesting technology components into creating certain values and show how that is done. That would create a lot of credibility to your project. And the third important leg of this digital transformation is the culture. When you talk about culture, we're talking about people. People, when you say people, it's about customers and their emotions and their experiences, and their engagement with us and their relationship and communication and all of those kinds of things. And how do we, as leaders of business, create appropriate skill sets in our companies and routines in our companies and processes in our companies to translate this vision into a reality using methodologies such as agile methodologies or design methodologies or change management methodologies or program or project management methodologies and so forth. So very important to understand how the culture can deliver value using appropriate strategies and appropriate technologies. If you can bring that into that equation into your project as well, just so that it is really, really useful to you. You do this once in your life, and you are able to create a benchmark for yourself. And you could take this to your customers or your future customers and show them this is the kind of work that you are capable of doing. That will be a phenomenal achievement. So part one is about just a very short, brief paragraph, 2 paragraph on creating a business challenge of ideas that you've already done. And in part two, you're going to expand that a little bit further. You're going to show us, tell us a little bit more about digital transformation objectives, very clearly defined objectives in terms of where you want to go from a current state to a future state. What does that future state look like in terms of business objectives? And how are you going to create that brand? And what sort of customer segments and types you are going to connect to, you're going to create? And what sort of competition analysis you're doing? How are the competition placed in this space? And that's due on the 25th of May, but if you want to take another couple of days, extra days, you want to consult with me, I am very open. I'm your champion within Emeritus. I'm always asking people to make sure that you have enough time and resources on hand to deliver a quality product. Practice what we learn, exactly. And part three is the most comprehensive project part, where you strategize and plan the execution of the entire project, creation of this new business or a disruptive business or disruptive platform. You're going to talk about value proposition from the DSB. We're going to talk about platform strategies from the second half, mastering and surviving disruption. You're going to talk a little bit about that, and marketing and executing a plan, which is part of DMS. So all of that, all three sections are coming together in part three, and that's due on 6th of July, which is 6-7 weeks away from now, but it's not very far because there's a lot to be done there. I hope you're working together as a team to achieve that. And the part four is what are some of the measurements in terms of KPIs and what are the steps that you would execute in order to sustain this business. It's not about creating something that could go live in another 6 months, but how do you keep that going over the next quarter and year and next 5 years and so forth. So we're looking for those next steps, because all of these project scope cannot be achieved in one go. You need to break it up into smaller components until you are ready to launch it, and then you keep building on it. So that's again due on the 6th of July. Okay, I would expect you to use the templates to build a case. If you want to use your own format, that is okay as well, but the template has all of the appropriate titles and questions that you need to answer, but don't just fill them in. It is not about filling in a form. It is about building a strategy, and make sure one after another, section after section, question after question, there is a thread of logic that flows very clearly. You're building one on top of another. And obviously you want to back it up with some facts and figures and references, and you want to make that very disruptive, significant new ideas, a leapfrog in the thinking from a legacy way of operating to a new online way of operating. If you please refer to course videos, other literature, research that you might do. I find the textbooks very, very useful. So I often refer to it even now, I not only for advising you guys, but also for talking to other forum and using it in my own business with my own customers, where I need to take sections of it and use some of the framework to assess some customer situations. Very useful. One last item is there are no specific marks given for this exercise. We are going to go with the three-stage model, marking model, which is exceeds expectations, meets expectations, and below expectations. If it's below expectations, then we mark you as incomplete. So you wouldn't want to be in that position. I hope you're not. Make sure you are exceeding expectations, which would take you into a, probably A plus level of grading. But we're just going to offer everybody either complete or incomplete as the final score. The complete score comes from exceeding expectations and meeting expectations. I hope you can achieve the former. Okay, so I've talked enough. Let me have your thinking. If you could please send me your questions on the chat box or in the Q&A box in terms of what are your thoughts. I have one question from Venkatraman. Is it essential always to use platform strategy as a solution in our Capstone project? No, that is optional. It is quite possible that you may have a business model that is an existing business, your own company or your customer's business, and you are just making a disruptive new change to that business using digital technologies, digital transformation. And that doesn't mean that you have to create a business platform. Platform is when you completely open up your e-commerce to other partners, including competitors and customers, and create a two-way exchange model. So that may or may not happen in your case. So I'm quite happy. In I think step 3, there is an option of completing the platform strategy, only if it is appropriate. Otherwise, no. Okay. Will there be an overall document at the end? Can we alter, complete a part that has already been turned in? Absolutely. In fact, the templates that are given as part of the project steps, step 1, 2, 3, 4, you could fill them in as detailed as possible, submit it online as it is, or in a different format of your choice, or maybe a PDF document, or a combination of PDF and PowerPoint or other formats. And you can always come back to update it. You can in all of these presentations or in your submissions, you could say, look, here is version 1, but we decided we had some new material, new thinking. So please ignore my version 1 and here is version 2. I'm very happy to accept whatever is the latest that is given to us as the correct project report. Okay, Roy, less group assignment and more simulations. Yeah, we would like to do that as well. But one of the value propositions for our course, as the executives, the business leaders within the company, and the marketing staff would like to consider, is to make this course as practical as possible in real life, which means that it'd be nice to work with the team of people in a particular project, especially when you have members of the team from different companies, different industries, and different countries. It really adds a great deal of value, and I know that it's a logistical issue in terms of connecting, and especially while you're traveling and you're a busy manager. Very hard to do, but that's the way it's going to work. We just want people to experience at least one group assignment per course. Anyway, thank you for that suggestion. We will keep that in mind. Simulations obviously are working well, and we appreciate your comment on that. Any other questions? If not, I'm very happy to take your emails, whether it is for myself or whether it is for Pilar. I'm happy to come back to you. Yeah, it's always rewarding to connect and collaborate within a group. I must also say that there is, from what we have seen from all our analysis, the group assignments are always better than individual assignments. When people combine as a group, they not only produce a much better qualitative assignment report, but quantitatively as well. It is much better because there are multiple, brains working to make sure that the different aspects of it or different elements of it from different parts of the world are brought to fruition there in one report. And it's always very exciting to see that there's a lot of collaboration that has taken place, and people have thought through some interesting ideas. Whereas with the individual assignment on a project of this scale and complexity, you would find that in terms of quality and quantity, it is not up to the mark. So, you might as well work with the other 2 or 3 or 5 other people to make sure you get the best out of them. Yeah, you know what? One of the things that, you have plenty of time for this particular Capstone project. If you are not already in a group, it is not too late. You could still join a group, and it is a group assignment because it's a significant, a new large project, and it cannot be done by individuals. How do I join a new group? Japo, you need to email me so that I could send you the procedure for joining a group. If you haven't already joined, it is surprising that you are still on your own. Maybe you could immediately write to send this request to the program support in the support tab in Canvas. You could also, in the Canvas inbox, select my name in the to, and then when you compose an email and write to me. Either way, we will try and help you out. Anjanelu, I do appreciate there is a time difference between various people, but that's the way the world is today. I'm here at 10 o'clock, sometimes midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, doing things to help my students, who are in different other time zones. I work with, virtual teams across various time zones around the world. The world is going to get increasingly complex that way, so we might as well get used to it. That's the way it is going to be, that we are going to have people from different countries and different industries working together on digital transformation projects. So I hope this course gives you a taste of that kind of experience as well. That's what we're trying to convey. Okay, if there are no more questions, I hope you found the session useful. I'm happy to close this session by saying you're on your own. There are no more videos to watch, but I am available anytime you want to contact me through email. And if you think you need a little bit of advice beyond email, that you want me to review or advise you on something, I'm available. We can set up a Zoom conference with your group or with yourself. You can always contact me on WhatsApp as well. So all the very best, guys, and I'll keep in touch with you. And we look forward to your final assignment on 6th of July. All the very best. Bye for now.